At the time, I was doing everything under the sun to stay in active addiction. My drug of choice was crack cocaine, marijuana, money, and men.
For us, families have a certain window of time in which they have to do what they need to do so that they don't lose their children permanently.
I had at the time, I think she was almost almost two-year-old little girl who I didn't have a place to live, and I maintained as much as an active addict and active addiction could out there, but it got to the point that different family members had her, and then when I would come to the realization that I didn't have her is when I wanted to get help. So I did that for a while. So eventually social service, CPS workers stepped in and they removed my daughter out of my custody.
They have about 15 out of 22 months between the day that child was removed to the time that they will lose that child forever. And I've seen it happen, and it is not pretty. So we work real hard in this window of opportunity here to do everything that we can to make sure that the parents have what they need, so that when the different entities, Department of Social Services and whoever else is involved, the different legal bodies, look at that parent, they're able to say, good job. You've accomplished this, because many of the things they have to accomplish are difficult for anyone.
And they asked me about the family recovery program, and I didn't know anything about it. But at the time, I was just getting high all the way up to the moment that I walked in the court. I just would have said yes to anything just to get out of there. So after court, one of the employees that still work at the family recovery program, his name is David Sifford, he walked me over to a building and so I could fill out consent forms, and I never forget this whole moment for as long as I shall live, because the consent forms were so thick. It was thick as an encyclopedia, and I looked and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be here forever. And in my mind, I'm trying to hurry up, get through these papers and go back and continue to pretty much kill myself. They just took my daughter from me. So I believe that I believe in a higher power, and I've lived with this higher power my whole life. So it's like my mouth opened, but the words that came out of him was not the words that I was thinking. And the guy was saying, you have to come back to be sworn in the court for the family recovery program court that following Friday. And I looked at this man and I said, I'm homeless. Y'all just took my daughter, and I don't know if I'm gonna make it to tomorrow, much less next Friday. That day they put me in power recovery, and today I'm still clean. May the 17th, 2023, I will celebrate 6 years clean. So I did the process. I came to court. Every time I was supposed to come to the family recovery program to do a urine screen, I showed up. I ended up graduating that year. I got my daughter back in 5.5 months. I had the opportunity to move into the second phase of the program, and that's housing at Sage. And I moved into a Section 8 unit, thank God. So when we, completed the program 2.5 years later, we moved out with a voucher that I still currently hold to this day. And we are in our second house moving out of Sage. And as you can see, my daughter gets the opportunity to come to work with me. She said they're very kid friendly. And my daughter, this is like our family. Like, she's been knowing, Dr. Joslin's employees since she was 2 years old. So when she comes here, it's like she's at her second home.
Substance use disorder has gotten 10 times worse. Years ago, there was no such thing as fentanyl on the streets. Now, every time we do a drug test on someone and they have a positive drug test, that drug test has fentanyl in it. So now even their marijuana has fentanyl in it. So because of that, and because people are dying, it's just very impactful. So it's scary. So we've lost more people in the past 3 years from just experimental use, not people who were overdosing because they were using so heavy that they just couldn't stop. I'm saying people who maybe hadn't used in a while, who said, oh, let me get a little puff of that blunt, and that blunt had fentanyl in it, and when you puffed on it and you inhaled the fentanyl, and because your body hadn't experienced that in a long time, out you went. We've seen bodies on the street. I mean, it's just a really, really kind of scary time. So the future for us, we're looking to do more of the same. So we work with not just people who've lost custody, but we also work with people who the department is concerned about. They may be seeing patterns of use and abuse, and they don't want to remove. So they reach out to us and say, can you work with them so that we can avoid removal? We would like to work more with homeless individuals, because we understand that there's, of course, everyone in our program is homeless at some point, and so we have a connection with homeless individuals and we work with them well. So we've written some grants, and so we're hopeful that some of the grants that we've written fall into our lap so that we're able to expand our work. We were certified to do outpatient. So at some point when we move from this facility, we'll be able to do outpatient drug treatment as well. So the future looks good. We're hopeful that we'll be able to expand services, that we'll get some new and different grants, and maybe get some additional funding to be able just to help the people even better.